Good evening, everybody. So let's start with our practice as usual. And before the practice, we will also do a little bit of breathing meditation to calm our mind and let it settle. And then we'll do the usual practice we do. Again, I'm counting on you doing this practice in between sessions, and so becoming more familiar with it so that when we need to do it quickly, you can easily zero in on the important visualizations and the important ways to think. And then in the space in front of you, visualize the Buddha surrounded by all the other holy beings. Their bodies made of light, looking at you with delight. And yourself surrounded by all the sentient beings as far as the eye can see. Your mother on your left, your father on your right. Doesn't matter whether they're still living or not, you can still visualize them there. And the people you have difficulties with in front of you, and we're all facing the Buddha together. Let's take refuge and generate bodhicitta. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by engaging in generosity and the other far-reaching practices, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by engaging in generosity and the other far-reaching practices, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I have awakened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit I create by engaging in generosity and the other far-reaching practices, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings not be separated from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger. Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every type of offering, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all my destructive actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. I dedicate all the virtues of myself and others to the Great Awakening. This ground anointed with perfume, flower-strewn Mount Meru, for land, sun, and moon, imagined as a Buddha land and offered to you. May all beings enjoy this pure land. Holy Gurus, in the space of your truth body, from billowing clouds of your wisdom and love, let fall the rain of the profound and extensive Dharma, whatever form is suitable for subduing sentient beings. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. And then a duplicate. The Buddha comes on top of our head, and also one goes on the top of the heads of all the sentient beings around us. Glorious and precious Guru, sit upon the lotus and moon seat on my crown, guiding me with your great kindness. Bestow upon me the remains of your body, speech, and mind, the eyes through whom the vast scriptures are seen, supreme doors for the fortunate who would cross over to spiritual freedom, illuminators whose wise means vibrate with compassion. To the entire line of spiritual mentors I make request. Then visualizing light and nectar from the Buddha flowing into us, flowing into all the sentient beings around us. Sometimes we can focus on it being white light that purifies our negativities, and sometimes golden light that brings the realizations of the Dharma into us and into others. Tayata Muni Muni Mahamuni Asoha. 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 And continue to focus on the Buddha on the crown of your head. Then think, O Guru Buddha, please inspire me so that in my mind and in the minds of all other sentient beings, may arise a superior realization of equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger towards all sentient beings. May there also arise in myself and others the recognition of all sentient beings as our mothers, the recollection of their kindness, the wish to repay it, love, compassion, the great resolve, and bodhicitta. Then also think all sentient beings from their side are equal in their desire for happiness and their wish to avoid dukkha. From my side, since all sentient beings are my friends, may I avoid splitting them into two groups, holding some dear and helping them, and feeling distant from others and harming them. And instead, may I develop equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger. Guru Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. In response to your requests to the Guru Buddha, 5-colored light and nectar stream from all the parts of his body into you, through the crown of your head. They absorb into your mind and body and into those of all sentient beings. The light and nectar purify all your negativities and obscurations accumulated since beginningless time. And they especially purify all illness, interferences, negativities, and obstructions that interfere with the cultivation of equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger in relation to all sentient beings. So feel what that would feel like to just have equanimity for all beings, not dividing them into those two groups. Your body becomes translucent, the nature of light, and all your good qualities, lifespan, merit, and so forth, expand and increase. Think in particular that a superior realization of equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger in relation to all sentient beings, has arisen in your mind stream and in the mind stream of others. So did you work on the equanimity meditation at all this last week? Yeah. And did it have some effect on you? Some people are nodding and some people are saying, oh, was I supposed to think about these teachings? Really? I thought all I had to do was show up here. Okay, so what you're getting in the teachings is just a little bit, and then taking it with you and using it in your meditation, especially during retreat, when you have the time to think about these things. You know, that's when it can get really tasty. Okay, so, you know, there was one meditation, you know, that he led in here. Did you notice that until now, all the topics have been brought up briefly in terms of requesting blessings, and this one, he laid out a whole step-by-step meditation. Did you notice that? Yeah. So I think he's telling us something there that, you know, this is an important thing to really consider, you know, to try and overcome this mind that feels close to some people and distant from others, and that regulates our behavior depending on that. You know, you're dear, so I will help you. You're not, so I will either ignore you or harm you. Okay? So the equanimity meditation, it doesn't necessarily mean that we act the same way towards everybody, but it's we feel the same way towards everybody. Okay? We don't act the same way towards everybody because we have different social roles and different levels of familiarization with different people. So, you know, you might invite somebody you know to stay in your home, yeah, but you might not invite somebody who's a stranger to stay in your home. But you can still, from your side, have open-hearted concern and equanimity for both of them, realizing they both want to be happy and free of suffering. Okay? But simply because you know one and you don't know the other, then you need, you know, you may want to be more discerning until you know the other person before you invite them in, you know, to stay overnight and open your refrigerator. Okay? So that we're really dealing on the basis of our feeling, you know. In the same way, you don't act towards, you know, a 2-year-old the way you act towards an 80-year-old. Yeah, because they're different. We can still feel the same way about them, have an equal open-hearted concern for both. But the way we act towards them is going to be different because, you know, one's 2 and one's 80, so they have different needs, okay, and they have different ways of relating. Similarly, people from different cultures, we're going to treat them differently according to their own culture and what suits them in their culture, okay? So, you know, when we're talking about equanimity, we're really focusing on our own internal attitude so that it can be open-hearted equally towards everybody. And not only towards human beings, but also towards animals and insects. Yeah. So especially in the summer, now it's winter here, not so many animals and insects. But in the summer, you know, we have so many yellow jackets and flies and ticks and, you know, all sorts of different insects around. And to, you know, have some kind of equanimity towards them as living beings. They all want to be happy and they don't want to suffer. But at the same time, we're going to react towards them differently. Yeah, so it doesn't mean that we let the yellow jackets and the ticks bite us, okay? You know, you can still pick them off, you just don't kill them, okay? So, you know, our actions are different, but inside we try and value everybody equally. Yeah. So the tick has the same respect as a living being that, someone we're very close to and treasure has. Yeah. And also this meditation really helps us in the aspect of our life where we get quite attached to people. Yeah, because we realize when there's a lot of attachment, there's not much equanimity. Again, last night, remember I was talking about being led around like a donkey with a ring through its nose, and the guy pulls the donkey and the donkey follows. And in the same way, our attachment leads us around like that. Yeah. And if we're attached to somebody, we will do anything and everything for them, even if it's something that in the long term is not good for them. Yeah. But out of attachment or out of fear of their not liking us, we will continue to do some behavior. This is what they call codependence. Okay? So, maybe there's a family member who has a problem, a substance abuse problem or some other kind of addiction, and that person really needs somebody to talk squarely and straight with them and say, I will cover the expenses for rehab, but after that, you have to get your life together, and I'm not rescuing you because that's not going to benefit you or benefit me. Yeah, and so, with equanimity gives us the ability to not be roped in by our attachment, which feels like, oh dear, they have a substance abuse problem, I'll pay for the treatment, then I'll rent an apartment for them afterwards, then I'll cook for them all the time because they can't take care of themselves, then I'll loan them money to set up a business, even though I know they won't pay it back, and they'll use it on their substance thing, and I'll do this and that. That's not helping somebody. Yeah. So, but attachment ropes us in where we feel that we are responsible for somebody else's happiness, and that if we aren't around, the whole situation is going to collapse. Have you ever been like that? Oh, really? Where the whole family is going to collapse unless I keep it together. The whole, project, the whole team. I mean, I am indispensable. I have to take care of everyone. Meaning, I have to control them all. But we don't see it as control. We see it as being compassionate and caring. And then we keep this whole codependent, dysfunctional thing going. Yeah. And why should the other person recover from whatever it is that's afflicting them when we're always there to pick them up off the floor and give them what they want? They have no incentive. Yeah. So what we think is maybe loving care isn't loving care. Yeah. But on the other hand, we don't want to say no, because then if they crash, we'll blame ourselves. Yeah, because after all, we're responsible for everybody. They're not responsible for themselves. Do you see this crazy way of thinking? It really disempowers everybody else. It's like, if you crash, it's my fault. Yeah, if you succeed, it's my thing. But somehow all you are is a puppet for me to play with. And I'm responsible for everything that happens in your life, and you are not responsible for any of it. Yeah, I mean, I'm overplaying the situation, but this is kind of how what it comes down to, don't you think? Yeah? So then the other person feels like, why should I change? They're going to take care of me. And anyway, I can't change because they keep telling me I can't. Even though we keep saying, you've got to change, you've got to change, you've got to change. But we don't give them the space to change or the space to be responsible for themselves, because we're always following them around saying, what you do is my responsibility. Yeah, I'm talking about adults here. You know, I'm not talking about children and teenagers. Okay, but do you see what I mean? So the attachment can really get in the way of actually benefiting the people that we care about. Do you see how this works? Yeah?
But we don't like to hear about it.
No, we do not like to hear about it at all. Not at all.
It includes attachment to ourselves, not only to the other person, right? Like I am thinking about development project in third world countries, and you are so convinced or you want to do something, and then you are not successful because you couldn't get the people into their responsibilities because they don't have the skills and you don't have the skills maybe either, or possibilities, whatever, and then you are disappointed, and maybe you had some attachment here with your expectations or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, this is another good example. Like you really want to help, let's say, in a development project in another country, but you don't learn the language, you don't learn the culture, and, you know, and you're trying to control everybody, but of course they can't be controlled. And so then things don't work out, and then because of our attachment to being successful, then we feel quite disappointed. Yeah. So it's really hard to think of, you know, what does it feel like to have respect and concern for others? Yeah, to respect them as intelligent people, you know, who can be responsible, at least to some extent, to be concerned about their welfare and wish them well, and at the same time, you know, to give them the space to grow and to not always be trying to fix them. Yeah? Yeah?
I was thinking about how, you know, a lot of times in the Pali Canon, for example, when you watch how the Buddha teaches, he never imposes his view on people. Or people ask him something like 3 times, then he'll finally say something quite difficult for the person to hear. I thought, wow, you know, because I always have advice for people. I'm going to tell you whether or not you asked.
Yeah.
Just looking at that example.
Yeah, okay. So thinking of the example of the Buddha, you know, especially in the Pali Canon, we see he never imposes his ideas on anybody. He just says what they are, and then people have freedom to accept or not accept, even though here he is, the Buddha, setting out the path to liberation, and he gives people the space to say, sorry, I want to be a matted hair ascetic because I think that's the path, you know? He doesn't call them in and say, you idiot, don't you realize I'm a fully awakened Buddha and I'm telling you how to attain liberation? Why do you want to be a matted hair ascetic? That's crazy. Yeah. He doesn't do that, does he? He just teaches, and then people, you know, he guides, and some people follow and some people don't. And then you were saying, in contrast, you have advice for everybody, whether they ask for the advice or not. Yeah. And so often, you know, many of us are like this because we look at somebody and it's like, wow, it'd be so good if they did X, Y, and Z. And then we just, you know, you've got to do this, you've got to do this. Anything else is wrong. You're going to be unhappy with anything else. You've got to do this, you've got to do this. And then the people like run away saying, hey, you're pressuring me. Leave me alone. Yeah. So we have to be careful about this. Yeah.
How do you define respect?
How do I define respect? I think of respect as valuing another human being or an animal, you know, for being a sentient being, for wanting happiness and not wanting suffering, and for having, according to who it is, some ability and some intelligence to bring about what they want. Yeah? And even if they don't have that ability or don't have that intelligence, to still respect them for doing their best. Yeah? Because anyway, what is to say that my way is best? Yeah. Well, we could say, well, my way is the Dharma way, and if they follow my way, they're going to really be practicing the Dharma, and that's going to be the good thing. So I'm going to stand on the street corner and, like the Hare Krishnas, and give out pamphlets so everybody can meet the Dharma. Yeah, but maybe that's not what's best for everybody. Why are there different religions? Because people have different needs. Yeah, maybe the Dharma is not going to, according to somebody's need right now, the Dharma is not going to meet that need. Maybe in 10 years it will, or maybe in 10 eons it will. But as ordinary beings, we don't know. Yeah? So we need to encourage, we need to guide, but we need to give people space. Yeah? And sometimes they may really need to do what seems to be the most stupid thing in the world so that they will crash and burn and figure things out for themselves. Yeah? And that is the hardest thing to watch when you care about somebody, is to watch them crash and burn. Yeah, but I know from working with the inmates, several of them have told me that until they hit bottom in their lives, they had no motivation to change. There was one guy who, he was dealing drugs and taking drugs galore, and he was a smooth talker, so he would talk judges and prosecutors into cutting him a good deal or sending him, he went to so many treatment programs, but he would go to the treatment program. He told me this himself. He said, I know how to work these programs. I know what to say to the people who guide these programs. And I'd go there and I'd say that, and then I'd do that, and then I'd leave and I'd go have a joint. Or I'd go drop acid, or I'd go get some meth. And he told me this straight out, yeah? And so he said it wasn't until I just totally, crashed and burned in my life, and nobody was there to pick me up, that I realized I had to be responsible for my life. Yeah? And so, I'm sure that was like so hard for his family to watch, but it was what was necessary for him to change. Yeah? So, we don't know the thing, what is always the best for people. I'm not saying don't care and don't get involved. Yeah? But I am saying don't try and control. And don't be the rescuer.
Sometimes when we show concern for the other person, although it's genuine, but I think it's also because we expect something in return. Like I need the affirmation that, you know that I'm caring for you.
Yeah.
I need to know that I have concern for you.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm doing that for you.
Okay.
It's like you always expect something, so you hope that the person will change because you are showing that concern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying when we show concern for others, but it really is we're wanting something in return. It's like we're wanting them to say thank you, or I love you too, or you're so wise, it's just a pity I can't follow your advice. Yeah. But we're wanting something for ourselves instead of just being there, Yeah. Because I find that, sometimes it's just like so tempting. It's like, well, I should follow this up. And, I mean, like there was a case of one person I know who would write me periodically, having many different problems in his life, and then I would respond, and he always would write back and say, thank you very much, it's really helpful. So then one time he wrote and he said, can I write you and tell you about a problem? And I said, yes, and then he didn't write. And then a month or two later I wrote and I said, oh, you wrote that? And I said, sure, it's fine to write, And he said, oh, okay, yeah, sure, I'll write soon. And again, he didn't write. And then the thought was, oh, maybe I should really write again and see if he's okay. And then I said, no, he knows I'm here. Yeah, he knows I'm happy to help. It's his responsibility to ask for help. It's not my responsibility to go around saying, are you okay? Are you okay? Do you need some advice? I.e. my advice. Yeah. I mean, people know I'm here. I don't need to run after them. Yeah. Once in a while you meet a person that expects you to run after them, and they get so upset if you don't write them and say, how are you? Are you okay? And get so, you don't care about me, you should write me. And then I just say, there's how many people who come to the Abbey? Am I supposed to write to each of them every week or even every month and say, how are you? That's all I would be able to do. Yeah. And I wouldn't even be able to finish everybody if I did that. So that's just somebody else's own self-concern. Okay? But, learning to have some wisdom in this thing of benefiting people is important. Yeah.
I was doing a meditation on suffering of humans, and I got to the end of it, there was a note that said, this is normally translated as renunciation, but it can also be considered showing compassion for yourself. Mm-hmm. And then I started thinking about the equanimity meditation. I never include myself in the equanimity meditation. And then I started thinking, if I'm so selfish and so self-centered, why can't I be nice to myself?
Yeah. Okay. So getting in touch with how you talk about all sentient beings, but you never include yourself. So I want happiness for all sentient beings, but that doesn't include me. And implied in what you said was that sometimes you're not very nice to yourself in terms of your self-talk. Yeah. And that thinking, renunciation is showing compassion for ourselves. It's wanting ourselves to be free of suffering, isn't it? Yeah. And we need that kind of compassionate concern for ourselves. We usually think being kind to ourselves means sleeping late, don't we? What?
More chocolate.
Yeah, more chocolate, sleeping late, doing whatever we feel like, lounging around. Yeah, and that's what we think is being kind to us. From a Buddhist viewpoint, that's not being kind to ourselves. That's creating the cause of suffering for ourselves. If we were really kind to ourselves, we would generate the determination to be free of samsara and the aspiration to attain liberation. Yeah? Because that's really wanting ourselves to be well and happy.
There's a question online.
Uh-huh.
So there's the Bodhisattva vow to stop folks from doing harmful actions. How do we always have the wisdom to do that since we're going by our own values and views?
Okay, so to one of the Bodhisattva vows, which is, to try and stop people who are doing negative actions. So how do we do that when we're going by our own values and our own, what? Views. Okay. Well, first of all, what it means here is to do negative actions. That means doing like the 10 non-virtues. Yeah. So somebody having a different opinion than we do is not a negative action. Yeah. Somebody doing things in different ways than we do does not mean they're accumulating negative karma. Okay? I mean, this is we need to, because, yeah, so it's true, isn't it? So, when it says to stop beings from negative actions, we're talking about the 10, unwholesome actions. We're not talking about people having different views and different ways of doing things. Okay? So that's, number one. Yeah. Then second of all, it's like, even if somebody is doing something that will accumulate negative karma for them, we have to be skillful in how we approach the topic. Yeah. When I lived in Seattle, I lived near Green Lake, and I would walk around Green Lake, and in some seasons there were people fishing there. Okay. Now, can you imagine what would happen if I went up to them and said, you're creating negative karma fishing. You've got to stop that immediately. Okay? Huh?
You'll be reborn in hell.
Yeah, right. You'll be reborn in hell for killing these fish. Yeah? Then is that a skillful way to help somebody who's fishing? No. In fact, they are going to relish fishing more so that they can be defiant, to you and not listen. And it's not skillful. They look at me and say, "Who do you think you are, a Buddhist nun?" "Yeah, I am. You should listen to me." That's going to do wonders for interfaith harmony, isn't it? Yeah? Okay. So, how we deal with a situation where somebody is creating non-virtue, we have to be very skillful and very tactful. Yeah? And really think, what is the appropriate way to do this? Huh?
So how did you deal with it?
I just prayed that they didn't catch any fish. And I prayed that they would come to see, that the fish want to live, that the fish value their lives as much as we value our lives. Yeah. But I couldn't go and do anything. On the other hand, if I'm in a grocery store and I see a parent just totally frazzled and they're going to scream at their kid or smack their kid, because parents get like that sometimes, then I'll go up and I'll intercede and I'll play with the baby, or I'll talk to the parent or change the subject or something like that in order to prevent something. I won't go up there and say, your anger is really too much. You're going to do incredible damage to this child, and then you're going to smack this kid, and I'm going to report you to Child Protection Services, And, that's not going to help, is it? Okay? So we have to, see what is the best way to help in different situations. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story. I don't know, the person who wrote me may be listening in. I don't know what he's going to say if he hears me tell this story. So he was walking near a school and saw a little mouse in a trap. Yeah, and so he let the mouse go, because he didn't want the mouse to be, in the trap. Then he went back, a day or two later, and the trap was there again. And he got furious, why is this person wanting to, trap this mouse? And so he took the trap and he, took it somewhere else and threw it in the garbage. Okay, now what would you say about that? What?
He stole a trap.
He stole?
Took
Yeah, he,
There's a fault there.
yeah, he,
Even though it's motivation, well, it was anger. It's kind of complex.
yeah. I mean, there was anger motivating it. He took someone else's property.
He wants to save a piece.
His motivation was to save the mouse. Do you think that's going to save the mouse? No, because the person will just go out and get another trap. In addition, that trap must have been a have-a-heart trap, because the mouse that was in it was still alive.
Could have been.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The mouse was trapped inside. Whereas if the person had wanted to kill the mouse, he would have gotten the kind of regular traps that just go and, you know, decapitate the mouse, you know. So the person was saving the mouse. Yeah. So I told him, you know, I said, you stole, yeah, out of anger. And I said that, you know, that person might have been using that, you know, the have-a-heart mouse, the have-a-heart trap. And I said, when you liberated the mouse the first time, that wasn't really going to save the mouse's life, because because of course the person's going to set another trap again. And we know from our experience living here that you have to take a mouse way far away. They usually say across water, but really way far away. Otherwise it comes back to the same place, you know. So to really benefit in that situation, you know, I said I would go to the person who was setting the trap and say, you know, let's try and catch it with a have-a-heart trap like you've been doing. And if you need somebody to take the mouse far away, I'll do it for you. You know, and I said that's a good way to really save the mouse's life. Yeah. So it's these kinds of things. I mean, these are really good. I was very glad that he wrote about it, because it shows he's applying Dharma to his life and trying to, you know, deal with things in an ethical way. Okay, let's come back to equanimity here. So there's the way I often lead the equanimity meditation that I thought to do it again this time. Yeah, because it always kind of makes us see things slightly differently. Okay, so come back to your breath for a minute. And then think of somebody that you're very attached to, that you really want to be with as much as possible, that you're very attached to. You feel very close to that person. And visualize them in front of you. And then ask yourself, why am I so attached to that person? There's no right or wrong answer, just we're investigating here. Why am I so attached to them? And then think of somebody that you really have a hard time with, that you find very disagreeable and have a lot of animosity towards. And ask yourself, why do I feel so much animosity and hostility towards this person? And then think of a stranger, somebody you feel basically apathetic towards, and ask yourself, why do I feel apathetic towards this person? Don't care one way or the other. So why are you attached to that person? Why are you attached to your friend? What?
Self-centeredness. Self-centeredness. I want to get something
Yeah.
for myself.
Oh, you want something for yourself, huh? Like what?
Attention, or I want to learn something from that person, or I want to get something, whatever.
Okay, so I want some attention. I want to learn something from them. Yeah. I want something from them. What else makes you attached?
Unconditional love.
Unconditional love. Do you think you have unconditional love?
No, I think I get it from this person.
Oh, okay. So you get unconditional love from somebody, so you become quite attached to them. Yeah. What else?
Some responses online saying the person gives me a strong sense of identity.
The person gives me a strong sense of identity.
Or they make me feel valued.
Ah, they make me feel valued. Yeah. Yeah, they make me feel appreciated. Like I'm important, I'm somebody who's worthwhile.
Special.
Special. Yes, I feel special when I'm with them. I am special when I'm with them.
They do what I want.
They do what I
They do what I want, and they're really interested in knowing what it is that I want.
want. Oh yeah, and they not only do what you want, but they're interested in knowing what you want. They really want to please you and make you happy. Yeah.
And then when they don't, then they go into category B.
Okay. Yeah, when have a bad day and they don't want that, then they go in the enemy category. Okay, so why do you have so much animosity towards these other people? They're wrong.
They don't do what I want, and they don't care.
Yeah, they don't do what I want, and they don't care that they're not doing what I want. Oh, they lie.
They're very cunning.
Yeah. To anybody or to me?
To me.
Oh, yeah, they lie to me. Yeah, they're deceptive to me.
Benefited them so much.
We did so much to benefit them, and then they turn around and stab us in the back. Unbelievable.
Precisely.
Yeah. The nerve. I mean, how could any human being treat us like that after what we've done for them?
How dare they care for themselves more than me?
Yeah. Yeah. What else?
But they have totally different values that I just cannot understand.
Yeah.
I've been thinking of people who like the guy from Boko Haram that I saw briefly in a video, and I just had to stop. I was like I don't understand how you can think like this.
Yeah.
Do I want to be near you right now?
So, yeah. Okay, so somebody who just is so different from me that I can't understand what they're saying. You know, like watching the video of somebody from Boko Haram. Yeah.
That's one of the things with the first category is that we like people who have ideas like that are similar to ours often.
Yeah, we like people, the first one, why are we attached? Because they have ideas that are similar to mine. Yeah. And then the third group who, let's keep on with the enemy, the person who's we have animosity. What else do they do?
They make us look bad.
Oh, yeah, they make us look bad in front of,
Our words.
huh?
They twist our words and misrepresent us.
They twist our words, they misrepresent us so that we look bad in front of other people that we care about. What?
Their body odor,
Oh, they smell. Huh?
They look funny too.
They look funny too. They don't look like me.
That's right.
The thing that I really trigger on is when I feel like my autonomy is being threatened.
Okay, yes, somebody is threatening my autonomy. Somebody is trying to control me.
He's trying to fix me.
Somebody is trying to fix me. Don't they realize that I'm the one who should be fixing them and I'm trying to control them? How dare they try and fix and control me? Yeah, what we do to others, we don't want anybody to do towards us. Okay, what about the strangers? Why apathy towards them?
They don't do anything for me, and they haven't pissed me off yet.
Yeah. they don't do anything for me, and they haven't. They haven't bugged me yet. Yeah. Almost as if they don't exist, isn't it? Yeah. It's like there's. Yeah, really. They're useless. They're useless. Yeah, they're useless. They're just people to navigate on around, that I have to keep from bumping into. Okay, so what word do you keep hearing? Me, I, my, mine. Yeah. So it's interesting because we usually think that friends are like really good people from their own side. But this kind of exercise shows us that they aren't good people from their own side. Yeah? Why do we like them? Because they do things that fulfill our checklist. Yeah, they do things that we like. So we usually think, oh, friends from their side, they're so wonderful. But it's not from their side. It's because, they've met different criteria that we have. And so therefore we get attached to them. Yeah. And the same thing with the people we have animosity towards. We think, this guy is a super duper jerk from his own side. But it's not. It's simply because they've treated us in a certain way. Yeah? And then, of course, the people who haven't treated us one way or the other, we don't give beans about. Yeah? So, we think that the friend and the enemy are out there externally existent. But they aren't. We're the one who creates the friend. We're the one who creates the enemy. Yeah? We're the one who dreams up these two categories to start with. Probe is not staying on properly. Okay, how about you? Okay. So, yeah. So, we create the friend and we create the enemy, don't we? Yeah. Even my robe, it doesn't do what I want. It's an enemy. Yeah. But what's so weird is we think that people are like this from their side. We think that we're seeing objective sentient beings, or that how we're seeing them is actually who they are and what they're really like. Yeah. And so if we have somebody that we think is just really great and somebody else doesn't like them, we say that's because they're wrong. Yeah. And if there's somebody else that we don't like, that, that our friend likes, again, we think they're wrong. They don't see people clearly. Because anybody in their right mind would see that so-and-so is just fantastic. And this and that over here is just like, ugh. Yeah, because we think we're seeing people objectively, and we're not. You know, we're creating friends, enemies, and strangers just based on how they relate to da 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 the center of the universe, me. True, isn't it? It's totally true. Yeah. And then, you know, we get so, I mean, there's no equanimity, and our minds are changing about people. You know, we bounce them around from one category to the other based on actually quite insignificant things. You know, when you think, let's say when you were a little kid, you know, you were 5 or 6 years old, yeah, who was your best friend who you always wanted to play with? Yeah, and do you even know that person now? Yeah, most of us don't know our best friends from when we were little. And sometimes our best friend when we were little becomes our worst enemy when we're older, and then they go back into being a stranger. And meanwhile, other people who were strangers when we were little become friends, and other people who were strangers become enemies. And sometimes people we didn't like at all, we meet in a different situation, and we think they're great, we get along with them. So that, you know, these three categories, you know, are constantly changing as we bounce people around on the basis of how they treat me. And yet we don't realize that, and we think that how we see them is how they are. In other words, that our opinions of other people are 100% correct. Yeah. Actually, they're quite self-centered opinions, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah.
And they result in these horrible emotions, you know, like this longing, you know, the longing feeling for the person that did what we liked one time or whatever, and rage against somebody else because one time they didn't do some imaginary thing that we wanted them to do.
Yeah. And so this total lack of equanimity we have, this judgmental mind that creates friends, enemies, and strangers, you're saying is also very emotionally painful. Because when we have a lot of attachment for somebody, we're yearning for them, we're longing for them, we're missing them, we're worried about what's happening to them, we're worried about if maybe they're going with somebody else and they forgot all about me, you know? Our mind is very restless and unsettled, isn't it? And even when we're with them, oh, this is fantastic, but how can I make it keep going? I don't want it to end. I've got to keep it going. But, you know, if you kept it going for the next 4 days, 24/7, you'd be sick of them. Yeah. Yeah. And then sometimes, you know, because we create the enemies, then the emotional pain of being so angry with them, or so terrified, feeling so threatened with them, you know, and this rage of like you were saying, when somebody's interfering with my autonomy, you know, it's like I go ballistic, and you know, who knows what we'll say and do when we think somebody's doing that. Yeah. So, you know, this lack of equanimity, it isn't just unfair towards other people, but it makes us really into emotional yo-yos, through which we also create a ton of negative karma, don't we? Because when we have a lot of attachment towards somebody, you know, we will steal to get things, you know, to impress them or to give them what they want. We will tell other people off for criticizing them. We will lie to other people or lie to them so that they will continue to appreciate us and love us. We will be deceptive. We will manipulate. Out of attachment, we can do really nasty things. Yeah? And sometimes not even realizing it because we code it in the thing of what I was just saying. I'm compassionate, I'm caring, I'm doing what's good for you. Yeah, but we're not. And same thing when we get so angry. Again, we create a ton of negative karma, harsh speech, you know, creating disharmony with our speech, planning, you know, how to get revenge. Yeah, beating people up, who knows what, you know, out of anger. Yeah. And then out of apathy, we just like, we don't even consider that these are real living beings with feelings. You know, after the Ferguson thing, when people were saying Black Lives Matter, you know, what they were pointing out is that for some people, it's like, you know, well, these people are just, they're all kind of the same. They're not in my life. They're strangers. Why should I care? Yeah. And then you wind up with not caring and that kind of mess that you know, evolved from that. Yeah. Because people do matter. Yeah, but when they don't, then, you know, we're fine taking advantage of them and doing all sorts of stuff. Mm-hmm.
When you asked in the meditation to come up with something that was describable, once again, I had a hard time. So my mind picked a fictional person, and I started thinking about that and as we've been going, and I really... I mean, I don't know what to think about it. You've got all these people that we see on TV and movies and things that aren't real, you know, but they've influenced me. And then we've got to see people, like, hear about people on the news, or see people on the news, and they're also on TV. And I think that I have some kind of connection here that says these people are also fictional. These people are also not real. And I know that intellectually that's not the case, but and I can still have animosity towards somebody that's completely fictional, and I can not have any type of caring towards somebody that's not at all fictional, but it's also on TV. And it's just, I don't know, I'm very confused kind of about the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. So pointing out that when we watch TV, you could be watching a movie and have attachment for one character and aversion for another. And in fact, they're both fictional characters. And this is exactly what they want us to have, you know, in the movies. They want us to feel kind of emotional towards these different people. But it doesn't really matter, I think, in terms of this meditation when we're doing it. Because even it's a fictional character in a novel or a movie, we get to see how we judge somebody. Yeah? And the way we get to see the mechanics of our own mind, that even there's a fictional character and we can't stand them. Or even there's a fictional person and we desire them. Yeah? That's really kind of strange, isn't it? You know, not even a real person, they're on TV. Or it could be a real person who's on TV, so then they're a little bit kind of half real because they're not playing a character in a movie, but on the other hand, they're on TV, so you're not really seeing them. Yeah? And they're acting a certain way because they're on TV. But still, we generate a lot of feelings, you know, attraction, aversion, for all sorts of different people. So this, I see it really as a study of our own mind. Yeah, and how unreliable our mind is.
It seems that not only based on how they treat us, we put people in these categories based on criteria that we've made, because then some of these people we never meet, they never relate to us.
Yeah. Okay.
Or even, you know, even somebody down the street from me, I might not know very well, but I know he treats his kids bad or something, so I might already have him in an enemy category for some misdeeds or something.
Okay, so you're saying that we don't necessarily need to know somebody personally to put them in the friend or the enemy category.
And they don't have to necessarily have treated us.
And they don't necessarily have treated us particularly poorly. However, when somebody disagrees with our values, we often take that very personally. You know, it's like, are you saying I'm wrong? You know, or we have this thing of these are my values and they are right and everybody, you know, should adhere to them. We can be quite attached to our values. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily need to be there in front of my face and they do something I don't like, but something about something that I value they are interfering with. It could even be maybe they treat me nicely, but they treat somebody else I'm attached to very poorly. Yeah. You'll see, like, parents will get very upset at another kid who harms their kid. Yeah, they may treat the parents okay, but you harm my kid and boy, you know. Okay. Mm-hmm.
People seem to move back and forth from enemy depending on how much I've forgiven them. You know, actual forgiveness. And I noticed that I tend to be more accepting and willing to forgive people after doing the meditation, like, you know, the sufferings of human life and whatnot. Would it be good to do that and then go into equanimity and see how the meditation changes after doing that?
Okay. Okay, so you find that it's easier for you to balance your emotions towards somebody and to have more equanimity when you've thought about their suffering and you thought about just their physical suffering or just the fact that they're samsaric beings. Just the fact that they're samsaric beings and everything that entails, that enables you to be much more forgiving of them. So you're saying, would it be good to do that meditation and then from there go into equanimity? Seems like, wouldn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that will give you a good foundation. Or do the equanimity, and then when you see your mind resistant, then go and think about, this is just, you know, some sentient being experiencing the various kinds of dukkha and samsara. So I think you could go either way on it. Mm-hmm.
Where I get confused on the enemy category is who I give myself permission to be angry with. Is like politicians who have power, and then they make policies that seem to, it's not, I mean, it is my values, but it's also kind of universal values of, say, generosity towards the poor. And they make a policy that takes from the poor and gives to more money to rich. And they make a policy, and you can see that it actually results in that. And then maybe it helped me that Clinton said they don't seem real to me either, because I don't live by them. I just see them on TV.
Right.
But I just feel so angry at the fact of the power they have, and that's always who comes up to me in this, and I get stuck there.
Okay.
Because it's not this thing about, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
okay, so you're saying that you have a lot of negativity come up around politicians who disagree with your values, but you're also saying they're universal values, except they're not universal values because those people don't hold them. They're universal values that you think everybody should have. Like, you know, helping the poor. Yeah, but there's, you know, more than half of the U.S. Congress that doesn't have that value.
Right, they don't have it, and that's why I'm angry at them.
Yeah, right. So we get angry. Yeah, they should have it. Don't they know that my values are the right values to have?
Gosh, I just feel so stuck there.
Yeah?
I just feel
So stuck. It's like, yeah, because
they
it's,
harm a lot of people.
yeah, and then we really, they not only disagree with my values,
Right.
which happen to be human values on all levels that everybody should agree with, but also they influence a lot of people and they cause a tremendous amount of suffering. And they go about bolstering their own ego, lying to people and deceiving people. And it drives me crazy.
And then they walk away with all the money.
And then they walk away with all the money and they get reelected and they go around, with their nose in the air, and it just,
And I can see this does me no good.
Yes. So you can see it does you no good, but it drives you crazy because they are inherently evil,
No,
aren't
they're
they?
inherently stupid.
Oh. Sorry. They're not evil. They're stupid. They're inherently stupid.
Wisdom.
Yeah. And you wish them wisdom, so you're chewing Manjushri retreat for them, putting Manjushri's yellow light into them, which also happens to be your values, which are the correct values. Yeah. It's just, I'm glad you and I have the same values, otherwise you would be wrong. Yeah.
I've had a lot, because of where I live, I've had to work with this one a lot, because a lot of the people that I talk to on a regular basis, they vote for the people that she was describing. And a lot of them are really, nice, kind, compassionate people, and I just go, why are you voting for
So-and-so, yeah.
who doesn't have this? And they have a really good, they have a really good rationale that works for them. And so it's really been helpful for me to get off of my self-righteous. Sometimes just say, you know what, they're looking at the same picture at me, but they're looking at a different part of the picture. And that's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not including people who are really, I'm not talking about the people who their behavior it seems transparent in that they are really just out for themselves. And I'm just saying, there's a set of values that I don't agree with, but they're held by people that I actually, see
Are nice people,
in.
right? Yeah. So yeah, this is the same environment we live in too. Where you live in a neighborhood, in a community, in a part of the state, where people have a very different way of thinking than how you're usually used to people thinking, and they don't have the same values, political values. They vote for people who we would never vote for. But when you meet them on a one-to-one level, they're quite nice people. And they're friendly, and they're kind, and they're nice people. And it's like, why did they vote for these nincompoops? Yeah. And it's amazing because they're thinking the same thing about us. It's like, you vote for who? Yeah, isn't it? They're thinking of us in the same way. Like, what? You don't have a gun? What? You want to take my gun away? Are you stupid? You think I should have a license for having a gun? This is ridiculous, I've been handling them since I was 3 years old. I know what I'm doing. I get the heebie-jeebies and creeps around people like that, But they look at me and think, what's wrong with you? Yeah? So, yeah. See, this is where I think it's very helpful to look beyond the superficial, okay? And to really see, somebody's political views are superficial. Even somebody's personality characteristics, in many ways, they're superficial, Yeah, the thing that really binds us together across the board is we all want happiness and none of us want suffering. And if we look into people's heart and we see that, you know, then we can see there's a basis for communication with everybody. But if all we do is look at the superficial thing, especially at people's political views, then we're not going to have any friends. Yeah. Because nobody is going to have exactly the same political views as we do across the board. Yeah. And it's somehow, you know, attachment to, you know, my intelligence that knows what is best for everybody. You know, I should have been God because I know what's best for people. Hmm?
I'm the one who knows what's too much and too little and too big and too small.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even if that was true, even if I was the one that knew what's best for people, when they're doing things that are causing them suffering, even then the most appropriate response is compassion and not being upset with them, right?
Right. Yeah. So even if our values are the right ones, and they're doing something that is creating negative karma and causing themselves and others suffering, why be angry at them? What's the justification for being angry? You know, if they really are that stupid, wouldn't you feel compassion for stupid people?
Well, being angry is stupid.
Yeah, that's the thing. Being angry is stupid, isn't it?
But it still
Yeah.
comes up.
Yeah, it comes up, but we can see it's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, compassion is definitely something we want to train our minds in. You know, I meditate on Ted Cruz a lot. You know, Ted Cruz and that guy, you know, the one who speaks with the British accent who beheads everybody. You know, those two. Yeah. Yeah, George Bush got displaced a little bit. He used to be the big one.
So there you go. So has George Bush actually changed, except he's not president anymore? I mean, he's still George Bush. He still believes the same stuff, but, you know.
He doesn't have the power as much. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, but to see that those are all superficial attributes, because that is just somebody's belief, it's just somebody's social position that's for a temporary period of time. You know, you get angry at them because they have so much power to affect others, but for how much time do they have that power? Not very long. And can they exercise their power single-handedly? No, it has to be a whole bunch of people together that do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's something, you know, come, go. You know, like I was saying, who was it? Oh yeah, the king of Saudi Arabia, who had so much power, and now we don't even know what realm he's in. Yeah, and what kind of power does he have now? What kind of wealth does he have now? Certainly not what he had when he was king of Saudi Arabia. You know, come, go. But what we do know about him that's the same is he wants to be happy and he doesn't want to suffer. Okay, so coming back to that again and again, I think helps us open our hearts to others. And when you were saying that you realized you would leave yourself out of the equanimity meditation, you know, we fit in there because, yeah, we want to be happy and be free of suffering as much as others do. There's nothing so special about us that our happiness is more important or our suffering hurts more. You know, we're equal with everybody else. Mm-hmm.
So I've given a lot of thought to like social change and you know where I could fit in and help affect some type of social change. And you know, just from that Buddhist standpoint and equanimity, I know that I just wonder what your thinking is on, you know, really trying to affect.
Okay, so what are my thoughts on,
race or whatever.
yeah, on trying to affect social change? I think it's great. You know, I think we need people who are interested in social change and who come to social change with the perspective of compassion and tolerance and equanimity. The trick is, if you're going to be socially active, is to really maintain your equanimity, because it's so easy to get self-righteous and, you know, I'm the best one and they're the idiots and they're wrong, and, you know, to deprecate the other people instead of, you know, having some kind of respect for them as human beings who think they're doing the right thing. Yeah. But still, you know, we can respect them. They think they're doing the right thing, but we have a different way of going about it. And I think, you know, being a social activist is quite good. Yeah. There's some people who think Buddhists shouldn't vote. I think definitely as Buddhists we should vote. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, this is a different question online.
Oh, that's okay.
So someone asked, when we think about repaying the kindness of our parents, this makes us feel attached to them. This is something that's increasing our attachment.
Okay.
I want to say I resonate with that because last week when we did the meditation, I picked my father as the loved one. And when you said, think of this person harming you in previous lives, my mind just went, no, cannot, no. And I went, no. I just got so stuck, you know. And I really had to pause and spend this whole week like, okay, working with the attachment that came up. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So repeat the question from the person again.
so just, you know, when we think about repaying the kindness of our parents, we
Can
feel
that-
attached to them.
Yeah. So when we think of repaying the kindness of our parents, do we, you know, can't we feel some attachment to them? Yes, sometimes. And then we realize that it's not the full meaning of repaying their kindness. Because again, what I was talking about at the beginning, I want to repay your kindness, so it's my responsibility to take care of the whole family, so you've got to do this, and you've got to do that, and you've got to do this, and you've got to do that, because I'm repaying your kindness, and so you have to follow my plan. Because if you follow my plan, then you'll be happy, and being happy is what I want for you. Okay. Meanwhile, we're going to our parents, get off of my back and stop telling me what to do. But of course, we're doing the same thing to them. Yeah. So, yeah, this is why the equanimity meditation comes before the meditation on repaying the kindness of our parents, because we've got to first have some sense of equanimity. Then, when we don't go directly from equanimity into repaying the kindness of our parents, first we go from equanimity to seeing that all sentient beings have been our parents. That's a very important step in there. All other sentient beings have been our parents. So it's not that this life's parents have been kinder to us than anybody else. Yeah, like, you know, what you said, that when you picked your father as the loved one in the equanimity meditation, and when I said, you know, this person has been your enemy in previous life, you just freaked out and said, no, this can't be, you know. Well, that comes about because we really have to see, you know, have equanimity, and then see that all sentient beings have been our parents. So they've all been as kind to us as our present life parents. Okay? So there's nothing special in our present life parents' kindness, you know, except that it happens to be this life, yeah, And so we try and be kind to them in return. But everybody's been that kind to us.
I just wanted to say that I picked my father for the enemy.
That you what?
She picked her father as the loved one. I picked my father as the
Oh, okay, yeah. But she picked for her father was the loved one. For you, your father was your enemy. Yeah. Good example of how different it is. And for you to think that, your father was once the dearest, kindest person to you in the whole wide world. Yeah. So we've got to, this kind of thing, we have to loosen our usual ways of conceptualizing about people. That's what the whole point of all this is that we make up conceptions and then we think that they're true and we fixate on them. Yeah, whereas they aren't true. Okay?
Even the person's dead. I mean, my mother's death has been coming up a lot for me, and then to realize that, in fact, my mother is in the stranger category is shocking.
Yeah, okay. So your mother died in this past year, and now, actually, your mother is in the stranger category. Yeah. Your mother could, be one of the spiders crawling around or one of the flies in the meditation hall. Yeah. We don't know, and how shocking that can be. But it's true, isn't it? Yeah. Which is why we try and respect and have a kind attitude towards everybody. Because everybody's played all sorts of different roles, in our beginningless samsara. Okay, this will be the last question.
For me, I was a bit different working in this week with this point. I was looking at my enemy as with its Buddha nature, so like Manjushri, or it could be also.
Oh, you were looking at the enemy and seeing that they had Buddha nature.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm having my mind is searching and doing all kinds of things, and then thinking, oh, now this person transforms into a holy being.
Yeah.
And seeing me thinking that, and then actually like Shanrezi crying because he sees what kind of karma I'm creating, and that kind of made it for me. So
yeah, okay. So this is interesting. So for you, seeing your enemy transform into Manjushri, and then really thinking your enemy is Manjushri, looking at you as a sentient being, and how Manjushri would see us and cry because we create so much negativity. Yeah? And that really changes things around, doesn't it? Yeah, very good. Okay. So, work on this next week. Yeah, try and really, see if you can lessen the friend, enemy, and stranger category. Yeah, and see if you can also look beyond superficial appearances. Okay.
May the
spiritual teachers who lead me on the sacred path, and all spiritual friends who practice it have long life. May I pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. Grant such inspiration, I pray. May the lives of the venerable spiritual mentors be stable, and their virtuous actions spread in the 10 directions. May the light of Losang's teachings dispelling the darkness of the beings in the 3 worlds always increase. Ratna Mandala Niryatayami. Due to this merit may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May the born have no decline, but increase forevermore. In the snowy mountain pure land, you're the source of good and happiness. Powerful Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig, may you stay until samsara ends. May the deeds of explaining and practicing the Dharma, done by groups supporting the teachings and their upholders, who spread the view of dependent arising and non-violent actions in the 10 directions, and especially at Sravasti Abbey in the West Floor.